Hello everybody and welcome back to Elderberry Sprout. Today we're doing a bullet journal setup for August. So for August I wanted to do something a little bit different since I didn't have the same art materials that I normally do, and I wanted to work with some watercolors. I've always loved using watercolors, and I think it's a really great way to integrate the energy of water into your spread. And as an added benefit, since it's a hot day, I'm using some of my ice water that I've been drinking. The idea for this spread is to do a bluish sky with some clouds. I'm trying to not think about how dry and hot it's going to be over the August month, so instead I'm focusing on the sky and water. Hopefully I'll be spending a lot of time in lakes and rivers this August. Yeah, so for this I'm just using some random old watercolors that I have that I put in a little Altoids tin. And I'm just spreading little blotches of blue all over the page. There is no real rhyme or reason to this, I just wanted it to look good. And evenly dispersed, really. And once I looked at all the blue there, I realized I'm like, wait, maybe I can do some outlining and make these into clouds. And so I did that. I feel like my clouds always integrate a lot of curls because, I don't know, a lot of aerodynamics end up having spirals in them. So I think it's a cool way to represent those patterns in nature. And I'm just using watercolor to do this as well. In a weird way, using clouds, I'm also integrating a little bit of that air element into the spread as well. So I've got water, I've got some air, trying not to focus on the fire quite so much. And I actually prefer where I did the lighter color outlines over these darker outlines. So I think that's part of where I went wrong on this spread. But that's okay. You gotta experiment to figure that stuff out. Yeah, here I'm outlining a little dark and I'm like, ooh, and I just kept going with it too. I kind of wish I had scanned this ahead of time and just had this as a fun little printable, but I only thought to do that in hindsight, unfortunately. And now what I'm working on is making a rainbow calendar. Thankfully, since I'm used to making these calendars, I pretty much have the idea of how big it's supposed to be in my head already. So I just kind of free-handed these different week columns. Wanted to use the colors of the rainbow for this, because in the sky, the integration of light and rain gives us rainbows. It's like little diamonds sparkling in the sky, refracting a whole bunch of light. Isn't that crazy that water acts like a diamond? It's like a liquid crystal. It's so cool. And it refracts light and gives us little rainbows. So for the bottom one, I originally did it in blue, but then I'm like, wait, the whole sky is blue. So then I end up redoing that in purple, or I guess indigo/violet. Yeah, and after looking at that, that's where I was like, oh, I already have blue on this page. And there's my little purple. I don't know why I've been so obsessed with rainbows recently, but I really have been. It's been so fun to experiment with. When I was little, I had this border around my pink room. Oh my gosh, it was so pink. And it was a border of wallpaper that had unicorns on a grassy field with like little butterflies and a sun and a castle in the distance and then rainbows everywhere. So I don't know, whenever I play with rainbows, I always harken back to my younger years with unicorns and rainbows. It's so fun. So here I've just glued that on. And I'm starting with the outlining. As you can see right now, I didn't trim this page. Most of the time I cut off a couple of rows of the, I guess, vertical lines so I can have room to do my habit tracking on the rest of the weekly pages. but I forgot to do that for this part. So I end up chopping it a little bit later. But I actually did this August setup pretty early because I just needed to write down all the things I need to do. So got about this far, wrote everything I needed down, and then kind of paused for a little bit. That is the one thing about doing monthly setups that throws me for a loop. Unless I have a really good section to put all of the tasks that are upcoming for the next months in, like having I guess a year at a glance. You can always put your tasks down there. But I honestly do really like to have my month set up like a month in advance so that instead of having to put it, upcoming monthly tasks in a yearly section, I just be putting it in the next month's section. So I don't need to transport that information back and forth multiple times. Oh yeah, and this is the type of stamps that I use for the ornate ones. I keep trying to make these work on textured backgrounds. I don't think it's the right match. I think these are really well suited to be subtle on a completely blank page. So this is really an experiment in me learning that. Yeah, you can see like underneath where that cloud is, there's just like a lot of texture going on and it's not quite so legible. To make these a little bit more legible, I painted over the frames to make the letters stand out a little bit better. And then later on, I even outlined the letters again just to make them stand out even more. Now I'm doing the section where I'm defining what my weekends are gonna look like. Hopefully I'll be talking about what videos I'll be putting out. I do have a lot of ideas, so hopefully I'll get around to them. And for the dots, I made little spirals to kind of match with the clouds motif. And now to do my habits. I'm keeping with the same habits I've been doing for the last couple months. So I won't show you I won't show you me writing those down yet again. Just the same old habits, same old, same old. And and honestly this part that I do where I cut out all of these tiny little chunks, it might be completely superfluous. You don't have to do that, but I really do like having it blend into the page more. So I still end up doing that. It'd be a lot easier if I just left it as a bar though. And actually looking at this spread now, I realize that I don't really like these highlights on the top of the calendar. That's kind of interesting. I think maybe this spread was a little bit better when it was lower contrast, because this just adds a lot of different tone where there's like the darker, more saturated parts and the more pastels. I think it'd be good just to pick a pastel palette and stick with it. And I'm just using a bunch of pens for all of these details in different colors. I suppose I could have used paint pens to actually have the color stand up off of that blue a little better. So I finished this up off camera a little bit, but here's my August setup. It's a little more chaotic than a normal one would be, but I was just kind of going with whatever I had available to me, which was not too many craft materials. I ended up having not as many papers as I normally work with because they weren't, available in my workspace right now. But yeah, so I used a lot of watercolor. I watercolored this and then slapped it on there. What did I do after I stopped filming? Oh, I found some of these little stamps that were, I call it my planes collection. And it has a whole bunch of like the Wright brothers and some airplanes and a little cloud and a hot air balloon. But anyway, so I used the little clouds. I used one of the planes over here. So my overall vibe with this, I was trying to go with like a cloudy sky with more clouds. And then I also wanted to include the rainbow. I'm sure I could have done that in a different way that I probably would have liked a little bit better, but you know, the rainbow's in there, so I guess the mission's accomplished. And actually, it's funny, after I put this spread together, and I didn't love it a whole bunch, I wrote, freedom to explore my heart's desire. So I kind of had like a little affirmation about how, like, you know what, this is what I was feeling like doing, so just like accepting that and then moving on. So if anything on here bugs me over the course of the month, I'll cover it up. But as it is right now, I think I'll be able to deal with this. And this is interesting. So most of the color is within the edges, or is within the center of this spread, not on the edges. So for my weeklies, I'm just stuck with blue, which isn't bad. It's kind of nice that this is going to be a lot more simple. And these are the pages I generally look at anyway for the majority of the month. So, and I did have this little cloud stamp that I've carved. I've used this for the headers before, and then I just use a pen to write the words on there for the day of the week. And these are all the same. I think I did one different color. Yeah, this one's a little bit greener than the blues, but whatever. All about the same. Oh, and then the tabs, this is kind of fun. I actually used that same cloud stamp. Let me move that, let's make it shadow. I used the same cloud stamp and cut it out and made it into the tabs because I only had 3 tabs for this section. Then when I did the watercoloring on the back page, I just kind of did it on the edge. I didn't have it bring it all the way over to this page yet. I'm going a little bit more minimalistic with this one. So there's a lot of room for stickers or whatever else I find throughout the month. I didn't theme these pages yet because we'll see what August has in store for me, because I don't know. There's a lot of things changing and going on, so we shall see. But that's my August setup. I hope you guys enjoyed getting a little peek at this. I didn't film the whole process just because, I don't know, I didn't. I feel like I've showed you guys my weekly/daily pages quite a lot, so I didn't want to do a time lapse of that. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you also, everybody, for all of your feedback about what type of videos you're actually looking for on the channel. The next video that's coming out is going to be a grimoire with me, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a magical day. Bye!